Good evening, Salem, Massachusetts. That was the Rolling Stones with Painted Black. Painted Black, I'm not sure if any of you guys care, but that's actually the song that got me into the Rolling Stones, and one of the reasons why they're my favorite band. Painted Black, Brian Jones, the guitarist for the Rolling Stones, who tragically died in 1969, actually recorded sitar on that song. It was actually the second rock song ever to include a sitar. For those of you who don't know, a sitar is that Indian instrument that leads that little twang sound, you know. George Harrison beat him to it, though, by putting a sitar on Norwegian Wood. This bird has flown for a Beatles record. Rubber Soul, I believe, that was the album it was on. But
things I don't know for $100.
But that's definitely a great song, and definitely because of the sitar, I feel like it gives it a very creepy feel, which is why it was part of our spooky block of music. And why are we doing this spooky block?
I believe it's Halloween on Sunday, so we decided to make a themed episode for tonight. The request line's open, 570-389-2891, if you'd like to request a spooky song. Speaking of Halloween, what are you going to be going Halloween as?
You know, Halloween is always frustrating me. I never know what to go as, mainly because I don't want to spend more than $10 on something, but
I don't blame you. So it's something you're only going to do once, so yeah. I mean, it's hard to spend money on that.
Mm-hmm. This year, I'm actually thinking of going as an 80s hair metal rock star. I'm thinking of maybe just, if I can't find enough 80s type apparel, I'm thinking of maybe just switching that to a rock star, but I really want to keep the 80s theme.
That's cool. I like that.
I'm going to put on some shiny clothes, maybe some eyeliner, get a headband, you know, and just go out and enjoy the Halloween night. What about you, sir?
Actually, I'm going to be, if you've ever seen the show American Choppers, I'm going to go as Paul Sr. From OCC. You know, he has quite the facial hair.
He has a very righteous mustache. I am very envious that he can grow such a chopper handlebar mustache.
So I'm actually going to try to do my best impersonation of that. I've been growing a beard for about 2 months now. It's getting quite thick. So along with that theme, we'd like to introduce our new segment for just this show. It's going to be the best mustaches we could possibly think of.
Yes.
You know, Paul Sr.'s up there on the list. How about George Peros, player for the Anaheim Ducks?
He plays for the Anaheim Ducks. I believe he's a forward of some type. I actually saw him play live. He actually knocked a Philadelphia Flyer to the ice back in 2008 when I went to go see the Ducks and Flyers with my father. And really, I think they should count his mustache as a sixth man on the ice, or seventh man if you count the goalie, because that thing has a life of its own. It is
truly fantastic. If you ever played the game NHL, the picture does not do it justice.
Yes.
It is a fantastic mustache you have to see in person.
Absolutely. There are a lot of great mustaches in history. What's the next one on the list?
We actually have Raleigh Fingers. Raleigh Fingers. There's actually an interesting story about Raleigh Fingers. When he was coming into the league, one of his fellow players had a very disgusting beard that he did not approve of, so he decided he was going to grow some disgusting facial hair, and he was growing a beard. And the owner at the time of the team he was playing for decided, well, let's turn this into some sort of stunt to sell tickets. So this was all in spring training. So he actually challenged his players to grow the most ugly facial hair they could, and then the winner would get $300. Of course, this was back in the 70s when that money was slightly more valuable than it is now, but it was actually an incentive to grow ugly facial hair just to sell tickets, which is very interesting, something you wouldn't see nowadays considering many teams don't even allow facial hair.
I really don't think the manager at the time understands disgusting ugly facial hair, because if you've seen Raleigh Fingers,
it is actually very fantastic.
It is.
You know, he actually looks like a 1920s bank robber, if you will, something from an evil villain.
Yeah, Snidely Whiplash. He has a very good Snidely Whiplash going. Let's give it the baseball theme. Goose Gossage. Having that kind of name wasn't enough for him. He had to take it the extra step. Yeah, he had to grow a righteous mustache. For those of you at home who would like to play along, if you're near a computer, get on the Google Images and type in the names as we say it. But
that's a laugh-a-minute comedy right there.
Yeah,
some other names we're gonna throw out there, along with Paul Sr., George Peros, Raleigh Fingers, and Goose Gossage. Here's one from history: Genghis Khan with the Fu Manchu.
Genghis Khan, I think, first Fu Manchu in recorded history. Not entirely sure about that, but let's just say it because
it sounds interesting.
It was a very good Fu Manchu. Nobody has topped that Fu Manchu.
It's a very odd Fu Manchu because it was very thin and came out from the very tips of his lips, and he just grew that very, very strange mustache. Famous American mustache: Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy Roosevelt, an amazingly awesome president. Read up on his history. He is.
He's a man's man.
He is absolutely. He is one of the most interesting men in the world. He probably drank Dos Equis when he was alive. I'm speechless. He was just so awesome, and with that mustache,
like I don't know how anyone could be cooler than that man.
yes.
You know, keep sticking with the history theme, Stonewall Jackson.
Stonewall Jackson.
In fact, many people from the Civil War.
The Civil War wasn't as much of a fight for slavery as it was just who can grow the gnarliest facial hair.
I really think they didn't actually stab each other and shoot each other. They just showed each other their mustaches,
yes,
and the other people just enjoyed it.
Yeah, they just had grooming sessions. I hope there's no Civil War vets out there. They're going to be very angry that we're not respecting that battle. But I'm sure.
Battle?
Yeah,
I believe it was a war. Civil War.
I think of it as just one entire battle. All right?
No, Gettysburg was a very long time.
One entire battle for the best facial hair in history. But, what are the other ones? We don't... Paul Sr. Really, Hulk Hogan.
Tom Selleck.
How did we forget
Mr.
Tom
Cale
Selleck?
Jones giving us the Tom Selleck. How could we forget such a historic mustache?
Yeah, no, Magnum P.I. His mustache was the co-star of that show.
And what was he in? 3 Men and a Baby also?
Mm-hmm. That was never saw that movie because I didn't think I could handle the mustache.
And he was also
out of time.
He was in Las Vegas for a few episodes, and he was also in. He has a new show, I believe, Blue Blood.
Yeah, Blue Blood
on CBS.
Really, just his mustache deserves an Academy Award.
Hulk Hogan, you mentioned.
Yeah,
Hulk Hogan. You know, that was a possible idea for my Halloween costume. Unfortunately, I did not choose to do it due to the elaborate tights and feather boas and things that man has worn across his career. Also, the fact that he's bald up top now.
Mm-hmm. I've always loved how he just called everyone brother. Yeah, that always gets me. You know, between that and the mustache, he is an absolute man in every sense of the word. We're getting another bulletin. Let's see if maybe this is another mustache.
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds, in fact, I believe he had a segment on SNL called "It's Time for Burt Reynolds' Mustache," and they would just show a picture of Burt Reynolds and his mustache.
You have reached the pinnacle of mustache fame when you have an SNL skit dedicated to your mustache.
You know what his nickname was during the SNL?
Turd Ferguson.
Turd Ferguson, sir.
The great Norm Macdonald played Burt Reynolds on a Celebrity Jeopardy skit. Would not answer to anything. He also wore a giant foam
cowboy hat. Something completely ridiculous. He only had an answer to Turd Ferguson.
I'm thinking I'm going to name my first kid Turd Ferguson. I hope he doesn't mind. But if you have any amazing mustaches that you would like to discuss or debate on the show, if we forgot any, which, considering how long history is, I think we might have forgotten a few here and there.
It's definitely possible.
Call the request line, 570-389-2891. Also, we're still doing spooky Halloween themed songs, so if you got a request that is along those lines, ring it up. What do we have next?
Right now, it's actually Frankenstein by the Edgar Winter Group.
Absolutely. Great instrumental. Let's hear it.
That was good.